And we got a fun show lined up for you today. And as you can already see, we're not in Studio B in Nashville, but we are at the headquarters for Smith Wesson right here in Maryville, Tennessee. And we are excited to be here and just talk guns today and learn a little bit about the business and about the company. So
always good to talk guns.
Definitely. We've already had a chance to kind of peruse through the facility and see how some of the stuff comes together, and it's an amazing operation here. When you think of guns, you think Smith & Wesson. I mean, that's just one of the first pistols you think about, and it's not just pistols, it's long guns, it's all kinds of great things. So just tell us a bit about how it got started, if you don't mind.
D.B. Wesson and Horace Smith are our two founders, and they were involved in the Winchester startup, and they actually were involved in the Colt startup as well. Decided to make a go of it on their own. They were geniuses, and it's just an amazing piece of workmanship and quality, and that gun looks like you can still shoot it today. I think, that reputation and that attention to detail and that quality, that's what the company was founded on. It is still known for today, is, the best quality revolvers you can buy in the marketplace are still Smith & Wessons. We still own the vast majority of the lion's share of that market. But then obviously started branching out into pistols with the 59 series back in, I believe that was maybe the 60s or 70s. And then getting into the M&P polymer frame pistols back in the early 2000s, and to where we are today. It's amazing to look at where they started from, and then that grew into this.
Yeah, where we're sitting today.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This year, we celebrate the men and women of the TWRA responsible for 75 years of wildlife conservation. Now make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a fun show lined up for you today, and as you can already see, we're not in Studio B in Nashville, but we are at the headquarters for Smith & Wesson right here in Maryville, Tennessee, and we are excited to be with Mark Smith, the president and CEO, and Mr. Johnny Allred is helping me co-host today. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yes. If you don't already know, Smith & Wesson now has a headquarters here in Maryville, and it's great to have them in Tennessee, and we're excited to be here and just talk guns today and learn a little bit about the business and about the company. So
it's always good to talk guns.
Definitely. We've already had a chance to kind of peruse through the facility and see how some of the stuff comes together, and it's an amazing operation here. Johnny, appreciate you lining this up.
Well, I mean, this happened a year or so ago. We had a mutual friend called me and said, "Hey, I've got a friend of mine. I need you to take him turkey hunting. He's just coming into Tennessee, and we want you to take him turkey hunting." And I said, "Who is it?" It's Mark Smith, Smith Wesson. Yeah, I know who that is. I know who that is. Yeah. And so he come down to Middle Tennessee, and we turkey hunted, killed some turkeys, had a great time.
Well, he didn't remember this, but at SHOT Show, he came up to talk about the governor's hunt. The governor's banquet, and he said, "Would you be willing to sponsor that this year?" I said, "Absolutely, we'd be willing to sponsor it." He said, "Well, if you do that, I'll take you turkey hunting." And I said, "Well, don't offer me turkey hunting, because I'm going to take you up on that." So the next thing is he gets a call. "Hey, remember when you?"
Yeah, well,
you're going to have to take him.
He could say take him turkey hunting, but I actually learned stuff from him that day. He's no novice at this.
There you go. Yeah. So it's a great move for you guys. There's plenty of wildlife for you, so I hope you've enjoyed it.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into that while we're at it. While we're here on the hunting side of things, you guys have hunted together, and what's one of your favorite experiences so far here in Tennessee? Hunting and fishing in Tennessee.
Well, I'm a big turkey hunter.
Okay.
I got into a couple years ago with a friend of mine. He's the biggest turkey hunter I've ever met. But so anyway, he got me into it, and I had always thought how exciting could it possibly be? They're walking down the side of the road, man. When you get one hammering and he's coming, and I mean, there's nothing like it, and your heart gets going. And so, yeah, I love turkey hunting. I came out here and met Johnny out at there's a diner out there, the little stop there.
Yep,
and
little Culleoka Diner.
Yeah, and we get in there, and I hadn't even moved yet. It was back in April, so I moved here in July. So I'm living out of the back of my car, and we met the owner of the diner there, and I mean, it's just, for me, hunting, whether it's turkey hunting or anything else, my favorite part of it. Yeah, it's fun to get out in the
Yeah,
woods.
we were actually
and
at
kill.
Campbell Station
That's
diner
right.
where they could eat a steak that night, and it was a
Yep. And it's the people, right? I mean, it's getting to spend time out in the field with, getting to know people like Johnny and Bill Sumner, one of our customers, was there. Well, a friend, but also a customer, was there with us, and just getting to spend time out in the woods and he's being a little modest. He called the turkey in from in the wind from 250 yards away. That he had him coming on a rope, so through the woods, and that probably was my. I wasn't even shooting. Bill Sumner was the one who ended up taking that one, and
If you got to see it,
oh, it was that was a fun hunt. So you couldn't see him until the very last minute. Oh, what whitehead coming.
Then the next hunt we set up, he probably crawled on his belly for 200 yards trying to cut some distance in this bird and killed him.
Awesome. Yeah. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do just to
fun.
get in range. Yeah. That's awesome. The one thing that you pointed out there is hanging out with friends and hunting. That's what's so great about hunting. It can be a group effort and a group sport, and just hanging out with friends and having, creating new friends and getting outside. That's what it's so much fun about hunting in Tennessee and hunting anywhere. So if you're not hunting out there, get into it. Go try it.
Absolutely.
Give it a shot. It's a great experience. Well, welcome to Tennessee.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We're so glad you're here. And I just want to learn a little bit about the move. Why the move to Maryville? And like I said, we're excited you're here.
Yeah, I mean, Springfield, Massachusetts has been our home since we started. Since Horace Smith and D.B. Wesson started the company in 1852, and to some degree it'll always be our home, right? I mean, it'll always be, that's where the roots are, and that's where we still have our largest facilities, there, and great people, great employees, but unfortunately, becoming more and more untenable to produce firearms in the state. And there was some legislation proposed a couple years ago where they said that if a firearm wasn't legal for sale in the state of Massachusetts, you couldn't make it in the state of Massachusetts. Well, Massachusetts has got some of the most restrictive gun laws in the nation, and that would have impacted about 60% of our production. Yeah. And obviously that was not going to be a very healthy environment for us to continue operating in. And obviously, I mean, I think we knew that it probably wasn't going to get passed in that current legislature, but it kind of makes you stand back and say, well, I mean, what about the next one or the next one? And in 10 years, you look at where we were 10 years ago and where we are today. And I mean, we're unfortunately, and I hope, we can come back together as a country. But, the reality is where we stand today, we're pretty divided. And if that continues, I mean, we have a responsibility to Smith & Wesson and to the legacy of the company and to the shareholders to, make sure that we're putting the company in a position where where we can continue to be successful. So. And we can't wait until that legislation is passed to move. I mean, this facility we're sitting in right now took us 3 years to get us to this point. So we couldn't wait and not ship 60%.
Welcome to the patron state of shooting stuff.
We couldn't sit and wait, and then for 3 years while we're building a new facility, lose 60% of our revenue. So we said, okay, it's time. And so we started a search. We looked at a bunch of different states, a bunch of different areas and communities, and at the end of the day, the team said, all right, I think we've landed on Knoxville, Tennessee, and and I'm going to be honest. I said, so we're not Nashville, not or not Atlanta, or not Charlotte, or so. They said, Mark, just come. Just come out to Knoxville, and you land here and you look at the the Smoky Mountains and the community here, and I could not have been more wrong. This is the most welcoming, the most business friendly, the most gun friendly. They respect the Constitution, they respect the Second Amendment, the entire, and not just the leaders and the government officials, just the entire community. I mean, so we have never felt more welcome than than we do here in Tennessee.
When you walk in this facility, you have the Second Amendment across the whole wall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. We're like I said, Springfield will always have a special place in our hearts and will always be home. But
Sure.
I think now we definitely feel home here too. So I mean, it's I think it's very it's been a great move for us.
Well, especially in East Tennessee, I don't think you'll find a more friendly gun community here, and they love to hunt, love to shoot. Shooting is, just outside of hunting, shooting is very important to our agency. Getting out there and enjoying those freedoms, and so yeah, you're going to have some great employees coming from this side of the state. So,
We already do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's share a little bit about how the company got started. When you think of guns, you think Smith & Wesson. I mean, that's just one of the first pistols you think about, and it's not just pistols; it's long guns. It's all kinds of great things. So, just tell us a bit about how it got started, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, D.B. Wesson and Horace Smith are our two founders, and they kind of bounced around a little bit in New England, Connecticut. They were involved in the Winchester startup. Actually were involved in the Colt startup as well. And then finally got together, and decided to make a go of it on their own, and really kind of got into repeating firearms and revolvers, and they were geniuses, and probably smarter than I'll ever be, and just. We were just talking earlier yesterday, sitting right here on this table. We had serial number 5, which our historian owns. So, and obviously that was a serial number handmade by by Smith and Wesson, and to just touch that and know that firearm, that screw was put on by the founders of the company, and the workmanship and quality was amazing. And I mean, I think that's just in my mind, I think that's really where to take the company and make it what it is today, and start it from I was talking to a group the other day about how Smith & Wesson is so cool because it's it started from really that serial number 5. I'm sure they were doing.
And that was about 1852. Is that what you said? It was when that was manufactured in about 1852.
That one I got to check myself, but it was definitely manufactured within the first 24 months of when they got together. So. Yeah. So it's it's amazing. That was probably made, and the stamp on it says Norwich, Connecticut, which is not Springfield, Massachusetts. So it was obviously before they started. So it's it's just a piece of history. So they're probably making it in their basement, and or in their workshop, and it's just an amazing piece of workmanship and quality, and the ability to know how to do that. Back in those days, they didn't have CNC machines. They didn't have and the gun looks like you could still shoot it today. I think that reputation and that attention to detail and that quality, and obviously there are obviously people who they were obviously to be able to do that, but people who were dedicated to the craft, and they really got into revolvers really heavily, outside of the little foray into 1854 into lever actions. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But and really that's what the company was founded on. It is still known for today. Is the best quality revolvers you can buy in the marketplace are still Smith & Wessons. We still own the vast majority of the lion's share of that market. But then obviously started branching out into pistols with the 59 series back in, I believe that was maybe the 60s or 70s. And then getting into the M&P polymer frame pistols back in the early 2000s, and and to where we are today. It's amazing to look at where they started from, and then that grew into this.
Yeah, where we're sitting today. That's awesome. And your name just happens to be Smith. How many generations? But you're not one of the generations of the Smith family.
No,
but that's pretty cool that you now the CEO and.
Yeah, it is a coincidence. One of the questions I get the most is
worked out.
One of the questions I get the most is, I said, well, I don't know if I was a descendant if I'd actually be working, but no, I think the Smith family, I think, got out. I mean, and there's some folks who might be listening who know the history better than I do, but they got out first. Okay. And then the Wesson family
carried it on for
a little while, and then they sold the company, and there's very philanthropic family. The Wesson family is still around. I've met a couple of them.
Yeah.
They're still around Springfield, Massachusetts. So
awesome.
But they've been publicly traded now for probably going on 25 years. So we're trading on the NASDAQ under SWBI. So Smith & Wesson's a public company.
Yeah. Well, thanks for keeping the traditions alive.
Yeah.
Keeping it moving forward. Well, and one thing I want to make sure that we touch on today is the excise tax that manufacturers pay on firearms and ammunition sold in Tennessee and in any other state plays a huge part in wildlife conservation. Those funds go to wildlife habitat management, purchasing lands, improving lands. Also helps biologists and the management of the wildlife that they do. But another key thing is Hunter Ed. It helps with Hunter Ed. Those federal dollars go back to help funding education and building shooting ranges, which is very important.
This isn't a tax that the customer pays. This is the tax that they pay.
Yeah,
for
manufacturer
those manufactured those items, and it's all conservation dollars.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of tax you like paying.
Yeah.
This is a tax we like paying.
Yeah.
Well, and what we were talking about earlier, this is if we're able to raise money for conservation, if the agency or the foundation is able to raise money for conservation, we're able to multiply that with these funds through federal dollars.
No, I mean, I think for me, it's extremely important to continue funding. You know, like I said, I mean, you don't like paying taxes, but this is a tax that is not really a tax. It's an investment back into the future of our cherished traditions. Of, you know, we need to get more youth out shooting. We need to get more first-time hunters out there. We are losing that battle. So, you know, the population of folks who are participating in the shooting sports or hunting is dropping. I think we all know that, and I think, you know, things like TWRF and things like, you know, and paying those dollars into the Pittman Robertson Fund are extremely important. And I mean, I know there's those, you know, who you know, even some of those folks who you would think would be our friends who are, you know, opposed to, you know, to those excise taxes. I can tell you, as one of the largest organizations that's paying them, we're not opposed to it. We want to continue to pay that. We want to continue to invest into the future of shooting sports, and you know, and again, does it help the business? Of course it helps the business, but that's not what it's about. It's about, you know, for me, I want my kids to continue to be able to enjoy the outdoors and the shooting sports and hunting, as, you know, and have those freedoms like we have them today.
Definitely. We can definitely see that, you know, that it's a passion of yours and the company's, and the way you've supported our foundation, and the foundation in return can support the agency. It's been amazing that the help that you've given them and us ultimately. And but yeah, it's like you said, it's a tax that you don't mind. You don't mind putting those funds back into what matters. You know.
Yeah, you know what those are going for. Right? I mean, they're earmarked for, you know, continuation of our passion.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to jump into some of the products. You know, we got to go on the floor today and see some of that stuff coming together, which was very cool. And but the revolver and the pistols that started it all. Maybe share some of your favorites. You know, I don't really have an agenda here. I just want to make sure we let people know what all you guys do. So we saw a Bodyguard today, which you said was one of the more popular pistols. That is a carry pistol now. And
definitely our Bodyguard 2.0, which is, you know, we came out of the Bodyguard. Gosh, it makes me feel old. It's probably, you know, 8, 9, 10 years ago now. I don't know exactly but it was extremely popular when it came out. Very, very small concealed carry pistol. I think, Johnny, you have one of those.
One of
those original ones. And, you know, and now this is the next generation of that, and improved on all of the, you know, fixed all of the things that we, you know, I would have done different if. And that gun is doing extremely well out there. So, you know, appreciate all the support from all of our customers and all of our. But, you know, Bodyguard's a great product for me. You know, I love the history of the company, and the, you know, and the old revolvers.
There's nothing more iconic than the Model 29s.
Yeah, Model 29. You know, the Dirty Harry. You know, and the big bore revolvers, the 500, the 460, and, you know, so
yeah.
Probably my favorite gun, though, is I actually have a 17 HMR revolver that we never brought into production because they just couldn't figure out how to make it consistently. But they gave me one of the engineering prototypes that works. So that's it's kind of unique. It's kind of a cool gun, and so it's probably my favorite revolver I got. But, you know, I haven't actually shot it a lot because I don't do a whole lot of shooting with that I can't do with my 1522. But
yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. I actually carry a Smith Bodyguard myself, and I have a few other Smith Wessons 38 and a 357. So I love those revolvers. And I may have to upgrade my Bodyguard since there's a 2.0 out there. So
absolutely.
So, and then long guns. That's something I guess that didn't register with me, that you all have the long gun platform with the ARs and with the hunting rifles, lever action rifles. So. Let's talk a little bit about the AR and the target shooting, and then we'll jump into the hunting side of things.
So I just mentioned the 1522. That's actually what I do most of my varmint hunting with.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a great little platform, and, you know, pretty inexpensive, and a great platform to get some of my son started shooting. You know, learning the AR platform was all the same controls, all the same, but a 22. So it's just, I mean, it's a great and deadly accurate. It's
fun little
it's
gun.
An awesome little gun. And then the Sport 3 is probably our most popular on the MSR platform. The MP15 Sport 3. It's great value for the price of mid tier. Probably it's not going to be down in that $399 range with some of the other entry levels. But Smith & Wesson name, Smith & Wesson quality behind it. That Sport 3 is it's been a great success for us, and So yeah, and then on the lever action side, we kind of got into that. In last January, we made the introduction.
Well, there's some history to that.
Yeah,
so we might as well talk about that.
We need to, definitely.
Yeah. So the first patent for that lever action patent was actually Smith & Wesson's patent. It was which is why it's called the 1854. It was in 1854, and we were just showing the pictures around earlier. It was actually a pistol. So it was a pistol with a little
lever.
It
looks the same, though. It looks the same. Receiver looks the same, and the little lever on it looks the same that they had. So they invented that in 1854.
And they had the original patent for it, and obviously then they never pursued it, and some of the others, Winchester and others, did.
Really? Okay.
But I actually got to see and hold some of those original. There's a very generous woman on the West Coast, on the West Coast, who's got one of the largest Smith & Wesson collections, I believe, in the world, and she was very generous to let us borrow some of those original. It's called the Volcanic, the original Volcanics, and two of them, and bring them in and do some photo shoots with them. So I got to another opportunity to hold a gun that pretty sure that that Horace and DB made. So. But yeah, pretty cool. And then so bringing that back into the fold in Smith & Wesson, and it's been extremely successful. And some of the reviews that we've been getting from some of the guys that are
It's an incredible lever action rifle. I have one of them, and it is a really, really nice rifle. I mean, it's really smooth, works really well.
Yeah, we're proud of that. I mean, to have some of those guys that are they're lever gun guys, and that's
in stainless and blue.
Their specialty. Yeah, so you can get stainless or or kind of classic look, the blue. And
more calibers coming out, right?
Yes. Yep. I mean, obviously we're going to be expanding that line out, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I have a 44 Magnum in it, but they're coming out.
Yeah, I mean, all the popular calibers: 357, 45-70 government, 30-30. So. Those will all be, and then expanding the line beyond that into some of the other, the other category, the tactical side, and so obviously that's a platform for us. We're gonna expand into. So we're excited about that. So and obviously now we can go hunting on with the Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, that's right.
I love it. What was the original lever action pistol? What caliber was that? Do you remember?
Even know. No,
because the gun, the picture you had, it looked fairly large, like a large bore. Larger caliber, it looked like maybe.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was ball ammo. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the.
Yeah, it'd be that might be fun to hunt with.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She was very generous to let us borrow it. I don't think she's gonna let you shoot it.
But like you said, in both of those images that we looked at, I mean, both those guns probably could have been fired. I mean, the way that they were still in great condition,
taken care of, and I mean, it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Well, then. One thing I want to touch on that you all still the lever actions are forged in Springfield, right?
Well, we do our forgings in Springfield.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
A lot of our revolver frames and so 1911s, and so those frames are done in Springfield, Massachusetts. So yeah, that forge is a pretty impressive site. So still. What you would imagine, red hot metal and, hammering away with big, drop hammers and forge presses. And so it's it was a funny story. When I first started with the company, 15 years ago, my office was across the breezeway from the forge. I was out in the factory. I ran operations for the first 10 years of my career. And I came in and it's got to be like living next to a train track. People after a while they just tune it out. Mm-hmm. My first day there, I mean, your coffee is, rings in your coffee every time that forge hammer comes down. And I go outside and I go, "What? How can you guys work in here?" And the guy next to me in the cube outside my house goes, "What are you talking about?" Like that pounding. That's the pounding of your Second Amendment rights.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, I got used to it after a while. But yeah, Springfield is, still, as I mentioned earlier, still one of our largest locations. All of our metal cutting, all the CNC operations, actually all our revolver assembly still happens there in Springfield, just because that's so intertwined with there's a lot of back and forth there with the machining processes as they're assembling the revolvers. So that's all still there. So, metalworking, metal finishing, very, very skilled, dedicated workforce there.
Walking through us, we noticed, and you actually talked about those engraved guns.
Yeah.
Those are actually hand engraved by a Smith & Wesson engraver.
Yeah, we have an engraver. He's unbelievable. Sam's, he came to us, Dave was our old engraver, and he was self-taught. He tells the story that he began his apprentice program, probably 30 years ago now, but began his apprentice program, and 6 months later, the guy who was training him did something stupid and got fired. And he was, so then he kind of had to learn on his own.
People talk about engraved guns, they're laser engraved. I mean, you see these laser engraved.
A lot of them are,
But these are hand engraved.
Yeah.
This guy's actually with a little hammer and chisels.
The intricacy of that, and it's not just the ability to know how to do it, it's the ability to be an artist as well. You have to be able to, they draw it first. And then
no mistakes.
And if you mess up, whoops, there goes 3 weeks worth of work. So we
adjust the design a little bit.
We're very lucky to have Sam. He actually came to us a lot of his training and education was through a jewelry school, and but he also did get into master engraving classes with on firearms as well. And so anyway, we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, that's very cool. And a couple things that I want to talk about before we run out of time is the efficiency that I just saw in the assembly lines, and how these robots are bringing the parts to the workers out there, and just maybe touch on that a little bit, how you stay so efficient out there on the floor.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out on that to Thale and Mickey, who, if they hear that, they'll hear this, they'll know who I'm talking about. But so we've got some employees out there who are we're just lucky to have them. And all of them, we're lucky to have them. But, guys who just truly understand. They should be working at Amazon or, a FedEx distribution center. It's that type of understanding of how to run and design and create a logistics operation. So the whole idea there is to, instead of having somebody when I got to go pick an order for you, and, you got 10 different lines on that order, you got 10 different products you want, 4 of this, 3 of that, 6 of that. Instead of having somebody go out in the warehouse and, try and find them, create a warehouse system that person sits still and all of the parts come to them. So that, and then that person can be much more efficient picking the orders rather than walking out with one order. They can be doing the work for 6 orders at a time. Yeah. And the same concept applies to bringing parts to our production lines. It's the same concept in reverse. Is I've got to now bring parts to the line because the line's out of parts. Well, don't have somebody going out there trying to find the part out in a warehouse. Have the warehouse set up so that a robot will go get that part and bring it to somebody who's just delivering it to another robot that takes it to the line. Yeah. So
I've never seen a more clean, efficient place than what's here. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. I almost got run over by a robot. I had to jump on there one time. So one last thing, everything that y'all make here runs through a firing range, and you test it to the nth degree, and it's going to work when it leaves the building. So
it's going to. I always say, look, Smith & Wesson's. We've got that reputation for a reason. We test fire every firearm. We got the reputation for best quality. And in the off chance you're going to have an issue with it, talk to anybody who's ever had an issue with the Smith & Wesson. We're going to take care of it. So whatever it takes, we're going to make sure you're taken care of. So.
100% backed by them, and a huge supporter of the agency, a huge supporter of the foundation, and we're just excited that you're here in Tennessee.
Yeah. We're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Johnny, thank you for helping.
Oh, yeah. Glad to.
Co-host and line this up for us today.
Glad to. We're looking forward to him come down deer hunting here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Whenever he's ready, come on.
Sounds great. Mark, thanks again. We'll have to maybe do this again sometime. Have you back on. Maybe we'll do it in the woods, or hang out at a hunting blind or something.
I'm not going to say no to that. I can tell Johnny, don't offer.
Johnny, you line that up for us.
He's always welcome.
Well, this is Tennessee Wildcast. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Always remember to subscribe, like, share, click the bell on YouTube so you'll keep getting the notifications when this stuff comes out, and just keep coming back and then get outside and enjoy Tennessee. We'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Join us as we celebrate 75 years of conservation in our great state. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.